So welcome YouTube to another how-to video by Resto Designs. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the Golf Mark 4 and the heated seats wiring loom. Now you've gone out and you've purchased yourself a set of seats, Recaros, or just the GTI kind of seats that come heated, and now you want to wire the heated seats in. You're looking at the wiring loom and it's like, wow, it's complicated because it kind of goes all around the car and it is a mission to remove. But I'm going to show you guys what's actually needed to take off a donor vehicle if you do have a donor vehicle. If you don't have a donor vehicle and you've bought the wiring loom, I will actually put a link to a company that actually sells these wiring looms, as well as many other Golf Mark 4 wiring looms. It's a pretty cool website. So if you have that loom, or if you've actually, you've got a donor car, you want to know what to take off a donor car and how to wire it up, this is the video for you guys. So I'm going to show you guys step by step what is actually needed. Okay, so that's the introduction over with. Now let's move over and I'll show you what I've actually taken out of the donor car and what you'll actually need to get this started. So here's that loom that I was talking about. This is the heated loom. So what I've had to do, I've had to cut it up and chase it back. So what I've done is, it's quite simple really. These wires here I've de-pinned them from the fuse box. So that's the power for the actual seats. This is a 12 feed, which I'll have to tap it into one of the main big wires that goes in there. The rest of the loose ones are just earths. And then on the plug side, I've also marked them up. So one's right, one's left, so I know which way around they go. Again, these need to go to earth, which I think are for the lights. And then I've got the grey, the black and blue wire. I think this is the illumination wire, which is the grey and blue wire to plug in, and that's it. So basically it's just earth, put that with a bunch of those grey and blue wires. I need to put this black and blue wire again with the bunch of those. Earths just go to earth, that goes to 12, goes to the fuse box, and then a fuse, and that's it, and they're working. And obviously these go to each seat as well, and let's go over to the car and actually start by doing the top bit first, which is the dash, stripping down the dash, fitting these on, and wiring up the earth and the illumination for it as well. Okay, so these are, as you can see, I've already put them in just for now. Now to take these off, you can actually kind of lever them off, but it does seem to kind of mark them. So what I'm going to do is, if you pull the vents off, there's a few Torx behind here, and then you can actually move the whole thing out and get to the plugs at the back. Okay, so far what I've done is, like I said, I've removed those two screws which are behind this top vent here. They sit there and there, so you have to literally just, pull off with a trim tool, get these little vents out. They're quite easy to pop off. And then what I do is I just pull off the whole thing, and and the plugs just unplug. Also, because I haven't got a double DIN, single DIN, also I've removed the little pocket so gives me some space. And also I've removed, you don't have to, but I've removed also the climate control unit, because I have it. If you've got the one with the cables, then you can't really remove it. It's just to give me space so I can move the wires up if I need to and stuff. Be careful not to break these. They kind of, you don't pull it out, you have to kind of go around it, pull it round, and it will unclip. There we go. These two little T20 Torxes, one goes here, one goes in the middle, and then this trim bit, literally you just pull it towards you carefully, and it just comes off like that, because it has these little clips that hold it in place, these little spring clips. And then what that does is exposes here another T20 here, and a few more there, and then again what we'll do is we'll just pull this off, and there you go, comes off quite easy. And yet again, you have to take another bit of trim off, which is this kind of cover here. And you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to take off. And as always, there's actually a 7th one hidden up here. 7 removed. It's just a matter of taking it off, and then for the first time, you'll actually be, you can actually see the relays and some of the wiring of the car, because up to this point all you can see is just the fuses, as you can kind of see. So now this is how we're going to run the wires up and to the switches up there, and then this earth point, we will use this earth point to earth out all those wires that go to the seats. And I think the other wires that we need, we'll have to actually cut into the other loom, because it actually uses the same wires here. So that grey wire, the grey and blue wire, and the black and blue wire are actually here. So we need to tap into this loom somewhere along here. Now what I did was actually the wires were actually tucked behind and underneath the actual cup holder. So I pulled them out from underneath there. It gave me loads of space. I've pulled this one back so that we can splice into this grey and white wire, which is illumination wire, and then the earth again, we can splice into that with the loom. So I've got the loom here, and I'm just going to run it up now, up underneath here, to run it straight through, so that then they come up to here. Okay, so I've done these, I've tapped it in, like I said, I took back this wire and I've soldered these 2 wires in, which is here, which is the illumination wire, which is the grey and blue, and the brown, which is the earth. So now the plugs illuminate. So in theory, this can actually, the trim go back on. I mean, you're wondering why I've actually done that. And let me just show you what actually VW actually do with these wires. So as if by magic, this is actually what VW do. As you can see, you've got loads and loads and loads of these grey and blue wires, and all they do literally is just go all into one point here, literally. Let's see if I can find it actually. There you go. As you can see, they're literally just, they're not even soldered, they're just like, they're crimped together or something, literally. And the earth, as you can see, is the same as well. So what I've just done there is basically what VW does. So it's not a shortcut, it's just the way it is. Now, further along the loom, and then you've got the case of the black and blue wire, and again, you can see all VW have done is they've, you know, connected loads of these black and blue wires together with this kind of sellotape. So I just need to go further in the loom now to try and find one black and blue wire, and then I can actually again splice into that to put that wire in. Now, another helpful tip, what I've done is I've fed all the wires through, and also make sure that the circle and the kind of rectangle is in the top. Just push them in. It's really quite easy. And now let's just put all the switches back in. One-handed is a bit difficult, but so far got that done. This black and blue wire, which I think actually might be a communication wire, is actually here on the OBD2 plug. So this is where I'm going to splice and connect this wire onto it. Climate controls all put in. Also I cleaned up this plastic trim and took off that grimy rubber stuff that they kind of spray on there. It looks a lot neater as well, and cleaned up the Climatronic. It looks almost new. Now from here on inwards, this wire here, I'm actually going to tape this up to about so long, because that's where it needs to be taped up. And also at this point now, we're going to open open the bonnet and disconnect the battery, because at this point we will need to disconnect the battery because we'll be dealing with one of the main 12s to kind of wire this into the fuse. Okay, so here at this point what I've done is taped up all the wires and I measured where the earths need to go, and I've cut all the earths so they're all equal length, stripped them all. Now I'm gonna put an end on them and crimped it on, but then also I like to solder that on as well, and we're going to use, like I said, that earth point right there. Earth's all done. So on the fuse box here, it's actually this empty one here, which is number 44, and it's a 15 amp fuse. So I need to now push these 2 wires through, one which obviously goes to the switches, and this other one actually needs to be fed from a thicker wire, which I need to tap into, because that's again what all VW has done, is to tap this wire into a thicker wire. And to push these through, you need to, this little pink kind of thing in here, you need to kind of push it, take it all the way out, which then allows you to push the pins through. And it takes a 15 amp fuse, so I'm just going to put a 15 amp fuse in there now. Actually, instead of splicing into something, I've just taken it from that 30 amp position in this kind of relay holder, because actually it comes from there to feed the fuse box anyway. So I thought I'd just go straight to the source, then cut into a wire and soldering it. So the fuse box is back on, just need to put this back cover on, and the 15 amp fuse is in it. Now it's just a case of, I've taped the wires up as well, but I've actually opted to tape them up individually. Normally what happens is they actually go in one loom and then they splice off. One goes to the right seat, one goes to the left seat, but I've actually, in this case, left them separately because it might be easier to run one wire differently to the other. It just makes it a bit simpler, I think. So that's what I've done. So now all that's left really to do is run it through along the carpet and onto each seat, and that's it, job done. All right guys, so as you saw, it wasn't so bad. It's very tricky. There's lots of trims to take off. It is quite time consuming. But if you follow my process of starting from the switches and then working your way towards the fuse box and wiring it up, and then obviously then, you know, running the wires to the seats, you really can't go wrong. I think in total there was 1 to 6 or 7 wires to wire up. It was pretty straightforward, really. Wasn't that bad to do. Obviously I didn't go into much detail of, you know, running the wires to the actual seats. It's not rocket science really. You just have to run it under the carpet. All you do have to make sure is not to get them mixed up, otherwise the left will heat the right and the right will heat the left. But apart from that, you really can't get it wrong, and it's pretty straightforward. So that's it guys, we've come to the end of another video. If you are interested in the Mark IV Golf and you want to see more content on this Mark IV Golf, there is a whole playlist. If you go to our playlists, you'll see there's loads of Mark IV content, how-tos as well as modifications on this particular car. So also, if you have any questions, comment. I will always answer, if I can, all the questions. It might take a day or two, but I always do make an effort of trying to reply to all the comments. So please guys, like, subscribe, ding-a-ling-a-ling, click on the notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm and be safe.